All right, Java Draw array list number 3. So this is kind of what we've been building towards, and this is ultimately the final product of what I want you to have. The specifications for this are basically I'm creating rain that's somewhere randomly appearing across the top of the screen and then falling down. So we've already covered falling down stuff, but now we're actually creating them without doing mouse clicks. So that's the big significant difference from the last one to this one. One other thing I do have in here that you don't have to, it's just something I thought would be cool. I thought you might think it's interesting, is having like a count to figure out how many different raindrops are, well, I guess have been created. So if you want to do that, that's like a side bonus thing you can explore. So those are the specifications. Get the raindrops to appear randomly across the top of the screen and then have them fall down. If you're good with that, time to stop the recording and go off and get coding. If you want a little bit more, stick around. Okay, so in this video, I feel like I've given you a lot of stuff already because this really is not fundamentally that different than what we've already done. It's just how do we create the circles? And we need to have some randomness in here. So let's see, I guess let me write up how I would create an oval, and then we can talk about it a little bit. All right, so this is how we would create an oval, just like this. Hopefully we've done this a bunch right now. The size is gonna be, this is the width and this is the height. I made it the same, so it would be a circle. And really what we need to think about here is like, okay, but how am I gonna get my X and Y values? And again, I'm just creating a single raindrop. You need to be making many of them and adding it to an array list and having them move, all that stuff we've already done. But really the question is, okay, how do I get my X and Y values? And we can start with the Y value. Like, well, I want the raindrops, in this case, I want them to start at the top of the screen. Okay, well, then the Y value is kind of fixed. It should always be at the top, and the top of the screen is always going to be where Y is 0. So that part's kind of easy. The next step, though, was like, okay, how do I get a random number to figure out kind of where should the X value be for each raindrop? And this is where we're going to add in a little, just small little bonus thing here to help us out. We've already imported the correct like java.util. Let's add in a tool that we haven't used in the past. We haven't used previously. So let me call this thing, we're going to say random. So we're making an object from the random class. And it's going to be equal to new random. So that's all we need to do. Basically, it's just giving us a random object for us to play with, and it's got some functions kind of built into it. So I can do random dot, and this is the one that we really want to do. We want to do next int. And what's great about the next int is that we can actually say like, okay, give me a random integer in a certain range, starting from 0 and then going up into, and that's where the bound is, the kind of upper limit of this. We could do, say, for example, I'm just going to choose a random number. I hope maybe you can think about what number you should choose for this. But let's say 400. So this is just going to generate a random number somewhere between 0 and 400. Again, if at any point you think like, okay, I got this, I can move on, I see what he's saying here, feel free to stop and move on. Otherwise, I'm going to give a little more detail, give a little bit more of the magic away. Okay, so I guess to begin with, like, this is just going to generate a random number. Let me just show how this might work real quick. All right, so I just made a quick for loop that's going to just run this 20 times, and we'll see what kind of numbers we get out of this. Just kind of show like what's happening behind what's going to happen just with that. And if we run this, are we getting? I'm dumb. I'm very dumb. I created the random numbers. I didn't actually print them. That's dumb. If I was more sophisticated about this, I would definitely be editing that out. But this is just where we're at. So we're just going to print that value. So even I make dumb mistakes. You know, it's not. It's just the life of coding, figuring out kind of what your dumb mistakes were. Certainly my life. Let's see here. Speaking of dumb mistakes, I also left out the window open thing. I didn't think that would actually matter, but I guess it needs that in order to call start. Because I don't really care about the window. I just want to see the output. I'm not sure what was going on in that weirdness there, but I ran it. I printed out this 400, and then these are the values that we're getting out. So this whole range of stuff in here. So it's just showing you, generating a random number somewhere between 0 and 400. Okay, so take that, and we're going to, let's see. So now in your code, in this code, we are going to make a method task3 is the new part. And this is where we are going to create a new circle, create a raindrop in here. So just create a single raindrop and add it to the array list. And then what we're going to do is inside of this animation loop, we're going to make that, let me pause and add it. So inside of our animation loop, we're going to add this method now too. So we're going to add rain. And the goal of this is that, like this, again, same as we've been talking about, it's going to generate, it's going to be called 30 times a second to begin with. And every time it does, it's going to create a new raindrop at a random spot across the top of the screen. I hope I've given you enough detail in there to kind of figure this out. I'm going to stop the video now. Of course, come ask me questions if you're not sure.